When she told me I have anxious attachment, that was one of the worst days of my life. You're not okay. You may look fine on the outside, but your mind never shuts off. You overthink everything, can't relax, and you don't even know why. That's not just overthinking, that's quiet anxiety. I thought this was just my personality, but let's define quiet anxiety. It's internal, constant, and it shows up as normal behavior. It's anxiety that controls your life without announcing itself. It's time for me to overexpose myself. Are you ready for this? Good. Well, I'm glad you clicked on this video because you're about to hear it. I've always had the fear of losing people, and I always thought that there was something wrong with me, and I found out what it was in therapy. My attachment style is anxious. I have anxious attachment. I wish it was anything else but that, but it explained a lot about myself and how I used to survive in relationships. Working through it and letting go of what always helped me felt pretty lonely because I've always used the same survival skills. But at this point in my life, I accepted my attachment style, and I'm working towards secure, of course, but it's a harsh label, nonetheless. And what comes with an anxious attachment style, it can show up in romantic relationships and platonic. Over texting, over calling, overthinking, trying to fix everything, even the wrong relationships. When you're anxious all the time or you have anxious attachment, you think you're just caring, but it's actually anxiety driving you. Now, where does anxiety usually show up? Anxiety can usually show up in social settings, whether it's your job, at church, at school. When you're driving, oh my gosh, the road is a battle. Social media, and again, before bed, like I explained before, but with social media, I think at this age in our 20s, when you're doom scrolling and you're seeing other people's lives, you might get anxious about your future. Am I in the right lane at this point in my life? You're early 20s or late 20s and you see all these people with milestones and you may second guess where you're at, but you have to stay in your lane. But it's so normal to be anxious about the future. Will I ever get my dream career? Will I ever get married? Will I ever be fully financially independent or stable? Will I ever get over this? That thing that's been haunting you, that's been hurting you, that you're trying to heal through. Will I ever get to the other side? Will life continue to look like this every single day? That's anxiety about the future, because there's uncertainty and there's always room for it. Oh, but I can't stand uncertainty. Oh, there's room for it, right? But when you're anxious about the future, it's because it hasn't happened yet, and you're trying to control what could happen then. So maybe there's negativity about what you're going through, or negativity about what could happen, because we don't know. That's what anxiety is. It steps in for control. And it makes you nervous about things that haven't even happened yet. Having anxiety is not just one moment, it's everywhere. Circling back, when I truly found out about my anxious attachment last year, in therapy, I'm sweating. This is very uncomfortable for me to film about. I think the first thing that I wanted to do was deny it, but also I didn't want to feel alone in it. I felt like I was the only person in the entire world. There's billions and billions of people in this world. I'm the only person in the entire world with anxious attachment. And that's what's wrong with me. Great, I found out what's wrong with me, and now I have a label, and now I have things to work through that I didn't know I was doing. To be serious, I try to be as honest and transparent and bubbly because these videos are heavy topics, and I want to be that late night video that this person is watching and they're feeling anxious and alone, and they have someone who's speaking their thoughts out loud and they can feel less alone in what they're going through, especially us in our 20s. The loneliness epidemic crew, okay? When my therapist said that what I was doing was anxious attachment, I thought, what's anxious attachment? And she explained it. That was one of the worst days of my life. Yeah, sure, it confirmed what I already felt, but then I felt like it was feeding the inner critic that I have inside of me, that we all have. Now you have a label for what's been wrong with you. This has always been wrong with you. But yeah, that hurt, the inner critic, but then I thought, I have this information now, and now I can work towards secure. Now I know what to do and not to do in future relationships. I think that's now great that I have that. I don't want anyone else in their 20s to feel alone about the anxiety word or anxious attachment. That doesn't mean you'll stay that way forever. And it doesn't mean those coping skills, yeah, they helped you in the past, but they may not help you now, since you know, and we'll find different coping skills. We'll figure this out. We'll get through it. My anxious attachment is just a part of me. It's not who I am. And it can be worked through. I have a fear that I will always be alone because of it, and I won't know how to insert myself in the right relationships. And I'll just take the bare minimum as the best that God has for me, and those don't even match up. You may not talk about your anxiety to your friends, your family, your partner, or this new person that you're meeting in your life. You normalize it. Sweaty palms, rethinking a location, debating on texting this person back or not, waiting how long you should do it, wondering why they haven't texted you back. You normalize it, and it becomes your identity. You don't question it, you just live with it. But once you have that close friend who you finally want to open up to about this, and you tell them how anxious that you feel in certain situations or settings, and you learn from it through therapy, self-work, or like I said, that close friend or even family member, awareness changes everything. Truly it does. Once you're aware, once I understood it, I couldn't unsee it. This is the most important part of this video, okay? Don't blame your past self. You had survival habits. That's all the tools that you had at the time. You're not broken. Anxiety can be a part of you, but it doesn't have to control your life. Take your life back. Something I wish someone would have told me sooner about anxious attachment or anxiety or nerves or panic attacks or anxiety attacks. There is nothing wrong with you. Everyone has plenty of things that they can work on, but I think this is the best age to work on it. We're not teenagers anymore. We haven't been adults that long. This is life experiences, expectations, heartbreaks, letdowns. They change you and shape you, but you have the ability to do something about it. Anxiety is a part of you. It's not your personality. Don't let anyone define you by it. Don't let anxiety tell you that you don't deserve the love of your life or friends or regulated nervous system or even self-love or opportunities of a lifetime. You do deserve all those things. Don't let anxiety put you down and tear you out. Don't let it do that. I'm going to be human about it. I've been stuck there, but I've been fighting it. And let's move forward. Screw anxiety. It cannot take over us. It's not your friend. It doesn't love you, and it doesn't know the truth. I had to get her because she thought she was cute. She's not. And she's not going to take you down this year. Okay? Okay. Sorry, I had to let you know. Really serious. Once you progress and grow and you don't let anxious thoughts take over you anymore, you won't recognize yourself in the mirror. And that's a good thing, but it's also lonely. If I don't know who I am anymore, then who am I? If I don't have the coping skills anymore that I used to have, an anxious attachment or being nervous all the time, then who am I without that? I used to always be that way. So now I don't know who I'm looking at in the mirror. But that loneliness is good. Like, it's good. Yeah. Because you know when you go and work out and you pick up the weights and you maybe go up in another weight and the next day you're sore, but then your glutes grow or your arms are bigger, you're like, hey. But you had to go through that pain and that workout to get there. Same thing with anxiety. Once you learn about it, stop identifying with it and letting it control your life, you develop better coping skills, you pick better people for your life, you start speaking up for yourself. You're no longer, not that you're no longer nervous, but the thoughts don't take over you anymore. And you look in the mirror, like, who is that? I'm not the anxious girl anymore? Then who am I? The new you. And we don't have to self-blame or shame ourselves with the things that we used to do, no matter how embarrassing, no matter how many times you called or text that person, and all those things that you used to do, or maybe you still do. Just get the help you need. Just breathe. Once you change, everything will be all right. It is terrifying to not be the same person you were, because it's hard to identify and understand yourself. But I just need you to know that it gets better. It does get better. We can become secure people in our 20s. We don't have to stay anxious. It doesn't have to define us. It doesn't have to beat you up anymore. You have the power of God if you believe in God, and if you only believe in the universe. Both are waiting for you to decide today, I am not going to let anxiety take over my life. And I just want to say that I believe in you, that you can do this. And I hope that you comment down below, you subscribe, click the notification bell, and come back for another episode of the Loneliness Epidemic. I always hope that, but anxiety doesn't know the truth. You know the truth. If this video made you feel less alone or inspired you, subscribe to help me get to 100,000 subscribers. If this felt like you, share it with someone who needs it. Comment down below how anxiety shows up for you. I'm Maddie, and you're less lonely with me. Bye.